Number 30.
Hey, we made it to double digits.
Double digits. Let's see here.
0.
All right.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm a little echoey.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's my microphone.
Oh, interesting.
Do you still sound echoey?
Yeah, a little bit in my head. But, I mean, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I just signed up for a gym membership.
Yeah?
And I haven't really told you all the details.
Oh, I'd love to hear
I
all
got
the
this free
details.
t-shirt. Oh, maybe I should cover up the actual, like, what it is. So it just says generic fitness.
I mean, we both have new t-shirts on.
That's true, yeah. We are kind of repping,
Various corporate merch. Well, I don't know. It's Cumtown corporate.
I am still echoing a little bit.
I think you're just hearing yourself through my... I'm not hearing
That's
you,
weird. Okay. Well, that's good. Good to know. So I signed up for this gym membership actually yesterday, and it was actually very nice. I didn't pay for anything. That's
Okay.
perfect. I didn't pay for anything yet. But the thing is, like, I only plan to be at that gym for like 4 months, because I plan to move closer to here. So I kind of just like skirted my way by out of not paying for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, you get 2 weeks free if you do this way. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I'm going to end up, that's even better. I'm going to end up canceling on a certain date so I don't have to pay the activation fee. I don't have to, but anyways, I'm really glad that I signed up for this because it really increases my value on the sexual marketplace.
Yes, which is very important.
As a gay man, it's vastly
Yeah.
important.
Well, I mean, I think that it's the unspoken truth that we are treated... we have a more critical lens on us than females do in terms of
As
keeping
gay
our shit
people,
together.
yeah, it's very...
Well, I mean, it's easy to imagine, right? Like, men are totally visual creatures, and if you're fucking other men, like the optics are so
visuals.
important.
Yeah,
And if
two
you're like-
people, visuals only.
Yeah, and if you're like a lesbian, it's like why they're all just complete. Not, I mean, so many of them are just complete messes that have shut the shit down because
But they can.
they can.
So good for them. Good on them. But I'm not going to do the same.
Because women don't really need looks necessarily to open the door. Personality goes a long way, which is why the incel thing. It's like you can look good, but if your personality is a disaster, no one's gonna date you.
Well, my new personality is jock,
Mm-hmm.
so I hope you'll address me as such.
Mask for
Those
mask.
are my pronouns now,
Mhm.
jock. No, yeah, I actually, speaking of jock, now that I have a gym membership, I won't feel like a total poser when I wear a jock strap.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and this is after my encouragement of that you should probably,
it was getting to be a little embarrassing.
it's getting to be gauche. You know,
Yeah.
It's like I feel like you were just wearing it for fashion.
It was cultural appropriation.
and it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't part of your lifestyle.
Jock culture. Yeah, that was my problem.
What do we have to do to get you to? Do we have to get you a motorcycle to get you to start wearing leather, or what do we have to do?
I don't know. I don't like the feeling.
What do
of,
I have
like,
to do to get you into a gimp suit? Is really where I'm going with this.
I don't know. You could convince me that I'm scuba diving or something.
Okay. All right. I'm not really sure how. God, could you imagine scuba diving in full leather gimp suit? Oh no, this is just my wetsuit.
No, this is how
what
they
I
did
wear.
it in the 1940s.
Yeah, this is what this.
It's just traditional.
We didn't have we didn't have neoprene then. We just
No.
go in leather.
It feels. I mean, leather is still somewhat porous.
It's not. It's the idea of taking it off after getting out of the ocean is like the. Just,
There's no stretch. There's really no stretch.
it's
to
giving
it.
me like goosebumps to even think about
We
that.
should try and fit you in one.
So I guess the first thing I wanted to get into is Portland happened, and thank goodness
Nothing happened.
it was just a bunch of retards in costumes.
It was just a repeat of what we saw last time.
And really, I mean, what it ended up being was such a kind of PR disaster for the left again, because it was like I think the right has the understanding now. I think because Charlottesville happened the way that it did, of like we can't incite these things anymore. And so, but if we show up and we behave ourselves, they'll act such a fool that we can be like, well, look at these they're the ones inciting violence. Mm-hmm. But the reality is they're both the same people, just with they think different ideologies, but they're not really all that different. And they go up. They really have nothing better going on in their lives on a Saturday to dress
it's so
up
embarrassing.
and go
Imagine being that person who's like, yeah, this Saturday, I'm going to an Antifa rally.
They're just all furries. I mean, it's like what's really the difference? Or even like the Comic-Con thing. Like it just I just don't understand why people do these things or subject themselves to certain things. Mm-hmm. And
well, Comic-Con, there's a wholesome interest among everybody.
Sure.
Like whereas with the Patriot Prayer or whatever,
it's just
Antifa,
well, it's too
fucking boring.
It's two sides that are trying desperately to get one to look worse. Like that was the funniest thing is like watching both journalists and then also either spokespeople for Antifa or Proud Boys, acting as if they weren't. They keep saying like, we're preparing for violence, and they're like acting all concerned, but the reality is they wanted an Andy No situation so fucking badly, but it didn't really pan out that way.
For blood. It's the only way they can get their word out at this point. I'm not a Devo fan. I don't know what that is actually.
Devo?
What's Devo?
It's a band.
Oh fuck, dude. I don't listen to music. I've never heard a song.
Well, Devo's your parents' generation.
Oh, what? Name a song. Name 5 songs. Are you a real fan?
You can. I think it's the dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. That's Devo.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I know songs.
And the safety dance. That's Devo as well. Yeah.
I think isn't that the same?
Same song. Yes, safety dance. That's them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know songs.
Shit, I really don't want to have this on the record if I'm wrong.
Well, I know songs because I grew up listening to them, but I don't really know. I didn't go to any concerts.
Nope, that's Men Without Hats. Okay. Devo. Hang on.
Devo.
I'm going to know it the second we see the songs that they did.
I can't
Whip
get
It. Whip It Good.
Yeah.
That's them. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Great.
They're actually pretty great, but
Wow. We just
can't get my microphone level right.
No, I've been hearing like myself echoing.
There's a very very there's a really minute threshold on the microphone volume that if I turn it past a certain point it's too sensitive, and if I turn it beyond it's not sensitive enough. So that's why I'm constantly fiddling with it, and I can't leave it on because if I turn my monitors on then it causes a feedback thing. But anyway, so yeah, thank goodness that I was wrong about Portland going off.
Yeah, I'm very relieved. I know we were hoping for it to go this way, for it to be just state of the art, or not state of the art, fucking standard Antifa.
Just a bunch of fucking idiots.
And it was standard, nothing new. I'm really glad it went this way, just because we don't need real violence. We don't need like a civil war to happen.
I'm gonna make sure I got okay. So actually there is. I can give you a connection to Devo, and then we'll get back to Portland. Sorry. So Mark Mothersbaugh, which is the one that did the Rugrats theme song, and he did I think he did. No, that was Danny Elfman but plenty of cartoon stuff. So Mark Mothersbaugh did do Rugrats theme song. So he's also in that kind of realm of things too. So, but I think that what happened with Portland and the way that people are kind of dressing up for these events that make me the most annoyed is being a gay person with some semblance of taste. I'm annoyed at how unfashionable these people are.
Ew, it's so bad.
It bugs the fuck out of me. And I know some of that is a little bit of a bit of a snooty kind of class divide, but there is an element of it that is just aren't you ashamed of yourself a little bit? Are you not? How are you not embarrassed? Even a Proud Boy thing. I wear Fred Perry shirts. I think they fucking make you look good. But the idea of putting body armor over it and wearing light blue jeans with the black and yellow one, it looks so terrible. And
grown men don't wear the very light blue jeans
with black
with a contrasting. Yeah, it looks bad. Wear a white t-shirt, grease it up a little so it looks like you're not trying.
Right, exactly.
That's what you should do when you're wearing.
Well, so with the black and yellow Fred Perry, what would you wear for pants?
I don't know, black trousers.
Yeah, black trousers. They don't look very good tucked in.
Yeah.
So I guess it is that's kind of tough part with trousers because they have the pockets kind of flare out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, however they keep wearing them, it doesn't look good. Somehow Gavin's always able to pull it off, but he doesn't really seem to wear it as much anymore because
he distanced himself from.
Yeah, but it didn't really do any good because the two guys that he distanced, because basically the reason why he did that was because there were 2 Proud Boys that are up on charges for some fight that they were either it's hard to really tell if they were defending themselves or if they instigated it. I think that's kind of the reality with so many of these things, and also too that because Antifa wears masks, you can't track them down. But because it's considered an organized group with a leader, they're up on RICO charges, so gang charges.
Yeah.
And now they both got they got convicted, and so they could face up to 15 years. These 2 people.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that's why he ended up distant. It wasn't because it got out of hand or anything. It was I don't think he really cared about that, which he should have, but it was more so about trying to get these people reduced sentences. So it was pretty noble for somebody that people seem to think has the worst intentions.
Good on you, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom started the Proud Boys.
He did.
You heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it here on the Fruit Basket. All the Antifa, Neon says all the Antifa people are pear-shaped, even the thin ones, soy hips. It's pretty true, man. There is one of those things of like plenty of the Proud Boys are like just absolute body disasters. I mean, just total like gamer neckbeard type people.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at like the few that do stand out, like the Rufio Panman guy that like sent that guy's sunglasses into orbit with that punch. Like, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like the Antifa doesn't have any of those guys.
Yeah.
Like they're again, it's kind of the thing we were saying about on the last one about mass shootings in this event is like, you guys aren't going to win this. It's like, because for like, you know, Proud Boys has a good amount of just soy doughy men, but you guys have more.
Yeah.
And you also like have women fight for you, which is really strange. Like, I don't see it. There's no women in the Proud Boys thing or really on the Patriot Prayer side. Although I did see some wily, horrible shut it down women.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. A couple of Karens that were really angry at this event.
The people who go to this are just like a weird, regurgitated and pudgy, like emotionally pudgy and like mentally pudgy kind of people.
Yeah,
they're very like weak and easily guided.
I mean, again, this is a Gavin McInnes thing, but he calls it mentally obese, and it's just is this kind. It's.
I've never heard that before.
It's
but
a good
like,
term.
It is a good term, and it's like these people are on Antifa and Patriot Prayer. It's like all of them need some kind of assembly to tell them how to act or what to do. They need something to align behind, and it's just it's a pudgy mentality. It's
totally because the reality is that there really is nothing to be all that upset about. I mean, you look at what's going on in Hong Kong, which is like a proper protest for something that actually matters, like in terms of like getting. I mean, basically the way that Hong Kong's played out, and I said this on the last podcast, is this idea that like all of a sudden, you know, like the UK has these really archaic internet rules, for example, and like we could get extradited to the UK for posting like a meme they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's like in Hong Kong right now. They've kind of had a semblance of a relative true democracy, and now China's stepping in to do what China does and put their communist witchcraft on everything. But
yeah.
But like that was kind of like the funniest thing about watching all this, are just like people are watching two different TV shows, and it really is like people are so mentally pudgy in the sense of like clouded by their ideology and the need to be right, and opposed to looking at how just objectively stupid both these sides look, because their ideologies literally make no sense in the 3D world that we live in that has nuance.
Right.
But nuance is too hard to think about, and they don't really have. I don't know who like so Gavin's, I guess, not so much anymore because he kind of leaves it alone, but he would be the kind of the figurehead of the Proud Boys. I know that Patriot Prayer has a figurehead as well, but like Antifa kind of doesn't, which I think is why like both of the Patriot Prayer and Proud Boys were able to, they stood down, because the groups were telling them like don't engage, don't do any of this kind of shit. And so they largely didn't, but Antifa, like I think like 5 or 6 of them got arrested.
There were 13 arrests at this
13,
Portland. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think total. I don't know how many from which side, but like, I wrote this down. I was actually looking for it for a second. I was just saying like Antifa and Patriot Prayer are like the court jesters of. They've taken this role as like the court jesters of this liberal America.
Yeah.
And
they
just incite violence against themselves for our own entertainment and comedy. It's like, or for like news stories or whatever, because it's such a joke. It's like you aren't doing anything.
I think that like really, and I think that what the worst part about it is watching, like you watch these people and how they're behaving, and I'm just going to speak for Antifa, because I think Proud Boys is pretty clear like as to like what's kind of going on there, but because Antifa is sort of this like this mush of a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. I think what's so hard to watch is you realize through watching, like just kind of, if you consume any level of Gavin's content, no matter kind of what you think about him, he's stylistic, he's cool, and he's funny, right? And so
which makes him convincing.
And it makes him convincing, but it also makes him fashionable. Mm-hmm. And so but you watch that DSA meeting, like the point of personal privilege, like, and there's so like a cool vacuum. Yeah. That it's like that's never going to change anybody's mind in terms. It's like trying to convert somebody to Christianity by doing like the shittiest takes on the whole thing of what just happened?
I don't know. I think
he closed it. Could you just open it for him?
Yeah, totally.
Because he's gonna just keep bitching. You can just there we go.
He had his paw up there.
Yeah. But you need like a cool figurehead to actually convince anybody to actually join, or at least like the packaging has to be cool, because at the end of the day, all of these political movements are fashion movements more so than anything else. And so like if your brand is putting, it's like if the Proud Boys are like, I don't know, Adidas, and then like Antifa's like Reebok or Skechers, you know. It's like they're failing so badly in like their just sort of presentation.
They feel very loosely organized, and whereas like people like the Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer, on the outside they look like they have their shit together, and that they all follow the same code.
Well, and because like the Proud Boys, you know, and I'm not really going to speak to like the white nationalist element, because what's so tough about the Proud Boys is there are people who are all different races in it, and yet like so the left has to construct this narrative of multicultural white supremacy, which makes your brain just melt when you think about that term. It makes no sense at all. And so but the reality is that the Proud Boys, most of their ideals align with the right. But like you and I as being liberals, there's nothing about that what Antifa stands for that I really even agree with or understand really what they're going for, or their view.
I don't even know what they stand for at this point.
I don't even know either. I mean, like protesting ICE camps and firebombing them.
They're a placeholder political movement.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. And
they don't have an organized stance. There's like the Democratic Socialist. Was it the DSA? Is that what it was called?
DSA, yeah.
DSA. There's that where they're sort of explicit with what they want for the most part, but then there's Antifa, and they're just a loosely bound group of people.
They're just like,
and there's nothing to get behind.
They're the court jesters of the DSA. I mean, like you as you put it, or I guess sort of their like militia, which is unfortunate that like that like the person who's demanding no one use gendered language is on the front lines of Antifa, when that person with their invisible disability would get mowed down with like a light slap to the face. They would. It's just. I mean, it was one of the perfect encapsulating pictures was the crowd of Antifa with the two people with wheelchairs in front of them, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, that's no good.
Like, number one, you're using them as props, obviously,
and shields,
and shields, which is
no Proud Boy or Patriot.
No one's gonna hit someone in a wheelchair, like no matter what they're saying or doing.
How
like,
fucked up.
Which I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? That we know that like no matter how crazy these people are, they're not gonna fucking pummel a disabled person. I mean, that's good to know. Because I think that no matter what these people think their ideology is, they know that would be optically so bad. And also, I don't think they would. I don't think that no matter what the person was saying, would it feel good to hit them. It would just be like such an unfair thing to do. Yeah. Kevin says, "Isn't Jackie Chan the star of Mulan defending the police?" In Hong Kong.
I wasn't aware of Jackie Chan.
I've not heard Jackie Chan, which makes me think that's maybe something that you might have gotten
also
wrong.
Welcome back, Kevin.
Yes, welcome back. But yeah, the star of the new Mulan is doing that.
Yeah, and didn't you hear that her father? Actually, you might know this information better.
I don't know this.
Her father is part of like Beijing Financial or something like that. This group. He's like the CEO or something of Beijing Financial. Yeah. So of course she would align with the government on that. She has to.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to that. What was that Chinese star that like she went back to China because she was committing tax fraud? Do you remember that story?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was a star here who was from China. She did quite a bit of movies here, but it was something like the Fast and the Furious franchise, where I would have no idea, like, because I'm way too fashionable to watch those. Maybe like stop making the class divide even wider. But yeah, so she was committing like a bunch of embezzlement and tax fraud. So she just went back to China, and China's like, yeah, we're not going to extradite her for this.
Wow.
And then she's just never coming back now. And so,
well, I mean, she gets to keep all her money.
Yeah, so. Right. But she's similar deal where she's like from a father that's like really like some kind of billionaire sort of figure in China. And the way that like China's communist government works is like basically if you're a billionaire, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but they will ask you for, like the mafia, they'll ask you for favors. Mm-hmm. Like if you're, I think I might have mentioned this in the last podcast, but my dad had some dealings with China, and like if you're a billionaire, they'll let you basically operate unmolested, but they go, oh yeah, we need you to build 4 hospitals, and you say yes, or else they throw you in jail.
Yeah.
So that's China in a nutshell, which I actually think isn't too bad of a system, but. Because it just seems like our billionaires are completely miserly with their billions, and
they're also pedophiles.
There's a few. I guess we could get into a few Jeffrey Epstein updates. Speaking of pedophiles,
yeah. Let's jump into that.
So they ruled it as a suicide, which is so fucking ridiculous.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's. I think it was a Michael Tracy take that it was like or like a quote. He said like, "This has become laughable."
Yeah. Because like what we're expected to believe, it's just like, come on.
Are we that stupid? Are we gullible?
Think we are.
And it's ridiculous that
it's one of two things. Either they think we're stupid and gullible, or they just know that we can't do anything about it and don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is the latter because we can't. All we can do is keep talking about it. But like they ruled it a suicide. They said the broken bones in his neck were from
the hyoid bone.
the hyoid bone was broken by
And so
kneeling too hard.
I listened to it was a
What is that? Kneeling too hard? That's when I get down on my knees and
yes, yeah, and fillet me violently. And then so violently that you break my hyoid bone. That's a really hard thing to say. I keep thinking thyroid is what I want, but
thyroid
my
bone.
thyroid bone. But the reason why that's interesting, that bone. So it's like, so you have like normal like C1 through C7, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like a wishbone thing that's in your neck. I think that kind of protects your like larynx.
Yeah.
And so in order to break it, it has to get crushed from the sides. So like this was an ER doctor that I was hearing talk about this. So it doesn't really make sense that it would break from
the pressure's
force to
gonna
the
be
front.
going up.
Right. So
Yeah.
it would have to be someone doing that.
Squeezing.
Right. And then also the shrieking thing has come back now, where that's like almost, it seems to be kind of being confirmed. And then also I'm hearing that there were 4 people working in there that were not supposed to be there.
It's like they're trying to cover up so much.
Yeah.
But it gets to the point where like shouldn't they have just said all of this on the first day instead of like, oh, maybe we should say that his broken neck bone is from kneeling too hard. Or maybe we should say that there were 4 instead of 2 guards that shouldn't be there.
I think that like it. I think that it's because they didn't do a very. I think that they didn't do a very good job. Like in the sense of like they should have gone to every guard on duty that night and have been like, we will give you $1 million, but if you say anything about what happened, the same thing's going to happen to you. And they clearly didn't do that though. And so like there were people who were civilians in this that were just working there that were like, are now like, oh, there's a bunch of fuckery going on here. Another really interesting thing was there was a 4chan post 4 hours before the news was announced on media saying that he had died. And like the description of how it happened was pretty accurate. And so it was clearly somebody that either worked there or was, directly linked to it in some way.
And what's this about Jeffrey Epstein signing his will 2 days before?
2 days before,
dies?
yeah. And he was visited by a woman, an unknown woman 2 days before that as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Just laying Maxwell in a nose prosthetic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's so laughable at this point. I'm curious to see if it'll remain in the news at all, or if it'll just be completely moved on from.
How much are they gonna push us? Like they're just gonna keep shoving us around until we just give in. It's like, okay, fine, you guys win. You get to kill billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, or excuse me, $570 million pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and we get to do nothing about it.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I think the fun part about this, and like even like my most liberal of friends are willing to admit that this would never come out if Hillary had won.
No, yeah, we said that on the last episode.
We would never know about this, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's like so evident. And also, too, it's just given, and I think I said this in the last one, too, it's like it's just given the world a blanket, like, pass to just say, fuck you, Hillary, you stupid cunt. Like, fuck you. Fuck you and your rapist husband. Like you're completely complicit in this, and you're a total piece of shit. And good riddance. And shut your fucking mouth. We almost believed you. Yeah, we almost believed you.
We were almost with her.
Yeah, I voted for her, but it was like, God. I saw Michael Tracy had a tweet a little while ago that said that. Here, I'll read it.
Oh, go for it. I wonder if I have anything else in my Twitter drafts that was an interesting take for this podcast.
So he says. Tulsi is on the verge of being excluded from the next debate, despite passing the required threshold in polls published by the largest newspapers in both New Hampshire and South Carolina. But these polls are not approved per the DNC. Do they really want to go down this road? Mm-hmm. And I said, thanks, Tom Perez, the head of the DNC, for reminding us that your establishment has learned nothing from your past failures.
So fucking true, though.
Which, I mean, again, so if they do this again, it's like, if we just have to figure out whether or not they have the fucking balls to revolt and not take the path that Bernie did, and just be like, fuck this. Like, do it. And I know that she will, because she did it when they did it to Bernie. She resigned her DNC chair. Mm-hmm. And so, and just be like, fuck it, we're starting a new party. You guys are, and I think they have to, because like you watch like this Antifa thing, there's no controlling this. And it's a cancer on like, and I think like the squad and the like all of these things are the worst aspects of the left right now that will keep them from winning. And so just fucking start a new party.
Yeah.
Like, still have some progressive things that I think are good, but just like get rid of the shit that's like extreme.
If like Tulsi and Yang and like some other people get nudged out of the next debates, I'd like them to have their own.
I think Yang will make it, which is interesting.
What is he pulling at?
Like 4%.
Okay.
Yeah. Rito Saint Yangu.
Okay. I'm gonna put on a shirt over this because I'm sweating and I don't want the light gray to show.
I mean, we realize that turning off the air conditioning is so much better for the sound quality, but then we have to sweat
so hot
because the sun sets behind my head, and so this bedroom just bakes. It cooks, and then even when the sun sets, and even if you leave a window open, there's no way to mitigate the heat unless you turn on the air conditioning. But it does fuck up the sound quality.
The thing is that I'm going to be wearing your shirt.
That's true. That's a very boyfriendy thing to do.
It is a very boyfriendy thing. Yeah, I really hope that if they do get nudged out, they have their own debates, and they do like an independent news network.
Well, the great thing about her is like kind of whatever like Nia Noni and I disagree on her quite a bit because he's not thrilled with her gun stance, which is pretty not great. But considering she never like makes it a huge talking point, means I don't think it's terribly important to her. But I think
something she has to take. Sorry, it is something she has to take a stance on because she's a part of.
That's what
a political party.
That's basically what I said. It's like these are sort of like the normal, but she never does anything like that with like like an insincere kind of position. She'll usually deflect it back onto the things that actually matter to her, like war and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think that because like through her suing Google and then also like crushing Kamala Harris in the way that she did, she'll be on a war path that they fuck her over. I know it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how she weaponizes her grassroots support with people like you and I, and because I think she'll do something interesting. Which again, it's like I think that her getting as far as she is, and then them not letting it happen is like again the Matrix trying to chug on as normal, and then she's just going to glitch it.
Go according to plan.
Go ham. Yeah.
According to Hillary's plan. If she were president right now,
where billionaire pedophiles roam around free, and
I really don't think we would have heard of, or Jeffrey Epstein would not have happened.
Never have happened. No.
Hillary would be president.
Yep.
She would somehow make it to she would be the election or the fucking the nominee for the next primary in 2020.
Yep.
If she were president right now.
Yep.
But it's not going according to plan.
No.
And so they're desperately trying to cling back to however they can do that.
Which is why, Trump does things that are legitimately not great, but the things they focus on are always like trying to tar him with character flaws that are irredeemable, like being a racist or a xenophobe, or like these kinds of things that like we condemn any human that acts this way. But like the accusations, the proof they have for the accusations are so flimsy that kind of no one really. Well, I mean, people fall for it, but generally speaking, I think like most of America is just like, the fuck are you guys even talking about? And then he's so good at weaponizing it back against them by I mean, it's like this Israel-Palestine thing in the Squad and how they're kind of doing their performative thing about trying to be anti-Israel, which, again, like Israel's worth criticizing. But, I mean, the reality is that if there was no borders in Israel, like all the Middle East would just eradicate them. I mean, I'm pretty certain of that happening. Or it would just start like a war between the two things, and the surrounding areas have more bodies to throw at Israel, and then we have to get fucking involved. Which I have
we suck Israel's dick.
We do.
I'm saying that objectively. I'm not saying that legit. From a cynical standpoint.
Well, and that's the weird thing too, is we suck Israel's dick and Saudi Arabia simultaneously. It's basically just whoever buys the most weapons from us will fucking suck them to completion, and those are the two places that do. So, but speaking of your boyfriend shirt, Faye Dunaway was in the news.
What an interesting segue you just made there.
Yeah, well, I figured I gotta make it something gay, but yeah, for her calling her assistant a little homosexual boy.
Yes, so the headline.
And he's suing now.
This is from NBC. Little homosexual boy. Faye Dunaway sued by ex-staffer alleging demeaning tirades.
So let's take a look. I mean, this doesn't. So we can just assume like all actresses are a little bit.
She's part of the Republican Women's Club in Newport Beach.
Dude, she so looks like that.
Right? That's the.
Yeah.
But she's like a couple. I don't know. I'm not saying that to be mean or anything. I'm just saying she looks like she would be like a Newport Republican woman.
Well, I mean, the kind of the interesting thing to mention is so I'm a big Charles Bukowski fan. He wrote this book called Hollywood, which was based on the adaptation of a few of his different books. into a movie called Barfly with Mickey Rourke playing him, and then Faye Dunaway playing like the love interest.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved Mickey Rourke, but even he, Charles Bukowski, the alcoholic degenerate, called her an eccentric, and that she was so hard to deal with. So like that's interesting to keep in mind.
The most eccentric.
Yeah, I mean, but somebody who knows and knew like would just call himself an alcoholic. But she's like one of the troublesome eccentrics that don't know they're eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously a problem. But anyway, do you mind reading some of this?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, to talk about what she's been up to lately, she was in a Broadway play about Katharine Hepburn called Tea at 5,
Mm-hmm.
and she was fired last month because of her behavior.
Mm-hmm.
She had an assistant named Michael Rocha, and during the time that she was part of this play. And then it says here, Rocha's responsibilities included shopping for the actress, making sure she took her medication, ding, 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 managing her schedule, and accompanying her to and from rehearsals for the show in Manhattan. He worked at Dunaway's Manhattan apartment and was paid $1,500 a week, according to the lawsuit.
That's pretty fucking great.
That's $6,000 a month, dude.
I know.
I would kill for that salary.
Yeah, I wouldn't. She could call me her little tiny faggot boy for $1,500 a week.
I let you call me that.
Yeah.
So like,
and like, there's something about too, like a matronly, like, was in King Kong sort of actress. I would find it like almost charming. It's like I know how she said it too. It's like, my little homosexual boy.
Yeah. So my
sultry.
initial reaction to this is like, oh, she does this from like a place of like she loves her gay fans, her little gays.
Right.
But then, like, when you read further in, it says Rocha claims in the suit that the Oscar-winning actress regularly and relentlessly subjected him to abusive, demeaning tirades and would inappropriately refer to his sexual orientation.
What does that even mean? Inappropriately.
That's a weird thing to put in quotes.
Yeah, it's like so. I mean, then so that like sets the metric of like she has to refer to you in a certain way. I mean, we don't have to read any more of that.
In an attempt to demean and humiliate him while at work. That's the rest of the quote.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, who's that?
Is
Is that the writer?
Yeah. She's
Hey.
got a big picture of herself there.
Wow. Yeah, anyways, she got kicked off for her role in Tea at 5 on Broadway, and now she's not going to the West End.
Yeah, well, I don't know. And I haven't seen her or anything in a long time, so she obviously...
I would love to be her assistant. She sounds insane.
And that would be, I think that it would be pretty... I guess, though, I don't know, like if it's like an abusive relationship where she's like berating you all the time, that would get old pretty fast. But
I guess what I mean then is like the idealized version of her that I've created in my head. She's my manic pixie dream boss.
But it would be fun to it would be fun to stick that job out and then like write a story about it.
Oh, that'd be good.
And then
just a year, just be like, hey, I'm looking for a personal assistant job for a year.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm gonna be out of here.
Make $72,000.
Dude, that's so fucking much money.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know for Manhattan. No, Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, like what? You get a roommate, you pay like $1,500.
True. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know about Manhattan, but
for rent.
I don't really know New York rent price. I know they're insane, but I only really know like LA rent prices and how just fucking they bend you over and fuck you relentlessly. But
that's still like $4,500 left over after rent. I mean, of course, there's taxes or whatever and groceries, but like that's a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money
for like a young person job to be a personal assistant. Are you kidding?
And there's I have so many gays that do personal assistant jobs.
When I was trying to move to LA, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna be a personal assistant.
I think you'd like being a personal shopper.
I would love to be a personal shopper.
Depending on who it is, but
and their style.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would shop for head of the Republican Women's Club.
Yeah.
Of Manhattan.
You know what's funny about that picture too is it's like she just has all the same surgeries too. Like
She's just got a little bit of tweaking to bring her.
It's like the eyes have been pulled back and then like the lips have been done, neck's been brought up for sure.
And it's too bad because I think laugh lines are really beautiful.
Yeah.
And like they show a lot about your character and your face when you have them when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to like get rid of them with like some kind of Botox or whatever.
It's kind of a shame.
It is a shame. It's such a beautiful part of life to have laugh lines.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I guess we can just keep the gay train rolling.
Do you think her tits are natural? Sorry.
They don't look like normal tits.
Yeah,
they don't look like big heavy milkers. This look like petite naturals.
Petite naturals.
Yeah, right?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Like a good solid small C cup.
Yeah, she looks She doesn't look bad. How old is she? 72?
Probably about that, yeah, I'd imagine.
She looks good.
Yeah.
But she's not easy to work with.
So, speaking of keeping in the gay realm, I'm sure, I don't know, actually we have young people that listen to this, so there's a movie called Love, Simon, which I started to watch
How was it? I haven't
about
seen
2
it.
months ago. I got about 15 minutes in, and I'm like, this isn't for my age group.
Yeah.
This is for really young
exactly.
kids. And so I turned it off. But, and again, too, it felt like it's one of those movies that just kind of came out too late, where it was like, this is not... Like this kind of fear of coming out and like to your friends aren't gonna. We don't really live in that world anymore.
It doesn't serve any of us for this movie to come out now.
No, but because it's just never enough. They're gonna do a spin-off series
On what platform?
on Disney Plus,
Oh!
which we're gonna talk about. Because Disney owns all of our buttholes. Even
They have like
even the
fish
hemorrhoids.
hooks.
Yeah,
Fish hooks in our butts
yeah.
right now.
And but this time Simon is not white.
He's brown.
Brown.
What's the guy's name? Michael.
Yeah, I got this. This article covers it pretty
I
well.
looked it up actually. It's Michael Cimino. I think that's his name. Which is also the name of an American film director.
Is it?
Michael Cimino.
Did
So it's
did he
like you
direct
look
anything
up.
notable?
I don't remember, but you look up Michael Cimino.
You're supposed to
and
know
you're-
these things.
I'm sorry, I don't fucking care about Michael Cimino, the American
You
film
should
director. But let's see. A Love, Simon spin-off series is in the works at Disney Plus. The Walt Disney Company's planned streaming video service.
It is really quickly. It is maddening how many, like, just because like all the Disney Plus announcements and things like that, like how many things there's like no original content going on it.
No.
It's literally just all. Well, we own the Star Wars intellectual property. Let's make a fucking Obi-Wan series.
Yeah.
and
a Hawkeye series.
Oh my fuck. God, I wish we could play Jeremy Renner's music on this.
Oh.
I sent Sean. Jeremy Renner thinks he's a rock star now. The guy who plays Hawkeye in Marvel, and he made this like total butt rock song in the vein of like Imagine Dragons, which is 2019's Nickelback.
And it's a real disservice to Sonic the Hedgehog.
You're the main attraction. It's just like
Sonic the Hedgehog invented butt rock. What is I think the band is called Crush 40.
That's what it is.
And they do all the music for Sonic, and it's all butt rock. Live and learn.
Yeah, well, I think that this era's butt rock is quite a bit different. But so
It's-
Hawkeye spinoff series, like, but it's just, I don't really know what they're doing because I think that really the only people that I've met that are enthusiastic about Disney Plus are just excited that all of Hulu's and Fox's content are getting condensed into one platform. And then people who have kids are excited that they have a streaming service just for Disney shows for their kids.
Yeah.
Because now we're in the tablet generation where you just plop it in front of your little troglodyte and then and let it watch stuff to not talk, while it's eating its noodles with butter and cheese kind of thing. But
makes me so sad.
But it's just so true of because we can't you can't be bothered to discipline your kid when mama's drinking her grown up grape juice. Mama's doing some simps.
Yes. Here, let's skip ahead a little, or maybe actually, the film, which earned $67 million worldwide,
Jesus.
was based on Becky Albertalli's young adult novel, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda. We're getting a Love, Simon spin-off series on the new Disney Plus service. I'm extremely excited, and I can't say much.
This stuff makes me just so annoyed.
We made this film as a chance to give LGBTQ kids back like I was a piece of their childhood. That's a weird interjection.
There's so much good gay cinema too. It's like it's just like but again, they have to posit themselves as like the leaders of this. Like this has never been done before. We've never had a black superhero.
Well,
before.
let me actually just say. So they have this character played by Michael Cimino, and he's brown. I think he's like Latino, but his love interest is another plain old white guy. And it's like the main complaint behind things like Love, Simon and other modern gay high school love stories that are seen in film and TV is that it's just too sort of like two straight acting white guys. That's the main complaint I see. And it's like, we need a brown gay love story. And it's like, okay, make it.
But what those activists do, though, they're just like, no, I want you to make the same movie, but I want you to make it the way that I want you to make it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, but then but it works for them to complain because look at what we have now. We have Brown Simon.
Well, yeah, we have Brown. It's a new character, and Simon's gonna be in the movie. Or in the TV series.
Okay.
He's gonna be like his mentor or whatever as a gay person.
Okay.
But so they cast George Sears, which is like this very milquetoast, kind of cute white boy, as his love interest, and it's like, yeah, if you want to look him up. And there really isn't. It's like you wanted a brown love story, and now they're making it only half brown. It's like,
how do you spell his name?
That's it, George Sears.
Oh, weird.
Maybe it's not George. I thought it was George.
I just love Simon.
I love Simon. Yeah, I don't actually remember. Love Simon. Yeah, here he is. What is his name? Oh, George Sear. I'm sorry.
George Sear. Let me get it up on the thing.
And he looks like...
It's like a nothing person.
He is a nothing person. He's a Disney star. He looks like he could have been part of whatever that show was called, Philip and Bucket.
It's just Chad. It's a Chad.
Bucket and Phil. I don't remember. Yeah.
Like at least Nick Robson looks interesting, kind of for.
Yeah, there he is, right there, Nick Robinson.
Yeah.
I think he's really handsome. Actually.
I think so
I'm
too.
really into him.
He just looks like he's just like another Dago, but he's cute for sure.
But it's like I don't know. The main complaint I saw was we want more brown gay love stories, and then they don't make it. It's odd that like Disney would reply to Love, Simon in this way to make a series to make more money off of it, but not profit off of what appears to be like what people want.
It's kind of that same thing of like, why don't you just have like a gay character in a thing, but not make it a fucking announcement, or just have it be something that can exist in the world without it having.
It doesn't have to be the story,
right? But it always does because again,
I want a gay dragon slaying monster, dude. Like I want him like. I want him to do other things. Like, I've already lived the gay experience. I know what it's like to fall in love as a gay person when I'm younger. Or, like, maybe younger kids don't. But, like, why not normalize it more to make it, like, make them do things that aren't gay? Exactly, yeah. But that's the thing is, like, either if they're not doing gay things, they have to be an over-the-top stereotype. Mm-hmm. Or they have... They never give us both. They never give us, like,
But lesbians can be any kind of lesbian they want to be.
It's funny. I think lesbians are more. I think we may have said this on the podcast before, but lesbians are more palatable to Middle America because Middle America is sort of like a huge audience for these. You look at
the Pornhub searches too. It's like all dykey shit that they watch.
Yeah, I mean, like Middle America watches Marvel movies. They make millions of dollars through them, and lesbians are much more palatable and digestible for such a huge portion of Marvel audiences. Whereas, like, the only kind of gay person Middle America will understand is the stereotype. And
the gay love story that I would have liked to have had is Tom Holland, but unfortunately, it appears that...
Oh, fuck. Well, Tom Holland is unemployed. He's not unemployed.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing about it. Yeah, Kevin, I think Asian, like Kevin says, give us an Asian gay love story. It's actually pretty interesting because like I don't have a lot of sympathy for like this sort of there aren't enough black people in movies and whatever, because it's like you look at statistically how many black pieces of art there are and it's like disproportionate for the amount of people there are, but there really are like no sexy Asian leading men. That's like not allowed, except for the one guy now that he has from Crazy Rich Asians. He got to play that sexy love interest in that movie with Anna Kendrick that we watched. That was really good. Simple Favor.
Yeah. So handsome.
Yeah, and but there really isn't like a sexy. They don't like really let Asian men be sexy leading men, or like sexy gay men. Really, that's never really allowed. So I'm with you, Kevin. But yeah, so the one person we would have liked to have become gay in the MCU would have been at
the very least bi.
Give us
like a sex scene. That's all.
That's all we ask. Just a very gratuitous.
After he graduates from high school in the MCU.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's still like supposed to be 15 or 16, isn't he?
Well, he survived the blip, so he came back after 5 years. He's technically like 22.
I wonder if they're like, because of the blip they have to make like new consent rules or whatever.
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, that would be interesting to explore the logistics of consent.
Yeah, and then that's what the whole Spider-Man movie's about. Is just like, well, like so Jake Gyllenhaal comes back or no, Jake Gyllenhaal's in jail now. And then, or he's dead, I guess, right? Never mind. You can't do that.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, spoiler alert.
It's the hologram.
Who would be a good one? Who would be a good daddy figure for Tom Holland to fuck? And then we'll get into the story.
Who's that? Who's Josh Brolin
Oh yeah, Cable.
Cable.
Yeah, that would be pretty hot.
Cable.
Yeah, he looked good in that.
He looked really good.
So yeah, but anyway, so Sony. So I know quite a bit about this because I heard someone else talk about it. But so the X-Men, and I think Marvel finally owns X-Men now. But there were a few different Marvel franchises that were tied up and owned by Sony, which was Spider-Man, X-Men, Deadpool, and then I think one other one that I can't remember. But
I think Marvel has Deadpool now.
I think they do, yeah. But so like basically the deal, but Spider-Man was the one contentious issue, and that's why it got rebooted with Andrew Garfield, was because if they didn't have a movie come out in a certain period of time, the title would be relinquished back to Marvel. But after the disaster that was The Amazing Spider-Man, they decided, okay, we should probably let Marvel handle this because they seem to do a good job, and they can also ingratiate him into this never-ending fucking universe of characters, and then make him kind of like back to the status that he was when Sam Raimi made the first two. The third one wasn't good, but the first two were great. But now, so the deal they had with Sony was Marvel will get 5% of the initial ticket sales, and they also own the merchandising. So that's plenty of money.
Lot.
But then Disney and Marvel wanted to negotiate the contract, and Sony said no. So now that gets us to this, which is
this is, where's this from?
It's from Deadline.
Disney Sony standoff ends. Marvel Studios and Kevin
Feige.
I was mispronouncing.
Oh, sorry, I ruined your joke.
Kevin Feige. Feige's involvement in Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, and he says, gay Asian love story? How about Eddie Huang's Fresh Off the Butt?
Oh, sorry. Exclusive. Marvel Studios president won't produce any further Spider-Man films because of an inability by Disney and Sony Pictures to reach new terms that would have given the former co-financing stake going forward. A dispute that has taken place over the last few months at the top of Disney and Sony has essentially nixed Feige and the future involvement of Marvel from the Spider-Man universe, sources said. This comes at a moment when the last two films Kevin Feige produced broke all-time records, Endgame and Far From Home. This week, Far From Home, which surpassed the James Bond film Skyfall, to become the all-time highest grossing film for Sony.
Right. So they don't want to lose. Also they're a failing studio. So I don't think that they have, I think this is the only really successful thing other than, sounds like, James Bond, which is not even that's a joint venture with Eon, or a few other different production companies. So but they just have released bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, and so for them to finally have something that ends up sort of, and then even the one they put out, the X-Men one they put out recently, The Rise of the Phoenix, that fucking bombed. So it's just they can't. But I guess if they had any involvement with Deadpool, which I don't remember seeing a Sony logo, but.
I don't think so. I think actually I read this article and further.
They were the ones that funded Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, though, so that's kind of interesting.
Let's see. There's a lot of webbing here, but all comes down to money, and it's easy to understand.
That pun. Ugh.
Oh, I didn't even notice
Gross.
that. Ew. It's easy to understand why both sides refuse to give ground. Disney asked that future Spider-Man films be a 50-50 co-financing arrangement between Sony and Disney. Sony turned down that offer flat. And I don't believe they even came back to the table to figure out a compromise. Sony just simply doesn't want to share its biggest franchise. Let's see. Sony proposed keeping the arrangement going under the current terms where Marvel receives in the range of 5% of first dollar gross, sources said. Disney refused. So Sony proposed keeping it the way it is.
So this next paragraph, this is kind of illustrates better what I was saying.
Now, it's easy to say that Feige has enough on his plate, especially after taking control of the X-Men universe in the Fox acquisition, including the Deadpool franchise, along with architecting the next phase of the Marvel superhero universe and building movies and shows for Disney+. I know. But I'm told Feige loves Spider-Man, arguably the biggest superhero character in the Marvel canon. He would have continued if Disney and Sony could have reached new deal terms. So Tom Holland needs a job. Yeah. Maybe we could hire him as our assistant.
Yes. He can help me take my medication.
He sure can. That's a great gig. Maybe he wants to do that for us.
Yeah. Well, now that he's probably he's probably blown through his fortune already. So
He just bought like a brand new car.
Did he?
He posted actually the day this
that's
news
right.
broke.
Yeah, that was pretty that was pretty interesting.
He didn't even acknowledge the Deadpool Sony.
Well, what's gonna be interesting
Sony.
is that like if this doesn't happen, Sony won't use Tom Holland because they probably can't, because I'm sure that Marvel has a contract with him of like he can only be in the things that we do. So they would just have to reboot it again with somebody else.
I did read that Spider-Man and Tom Holland are staying with Sony. Like Tom Holland would still be with Sony, but
Sony
the thing is it wouldn't be in the MCU.
Oh god, that's such a mistake.
They can't really use any of the other superheroes, any like Marvel comic superheroes, like we just saw with Jake Gyllenhaal and what's his name, Mind Flayer? No, not Mind.
No,
that's from Stranger Things. Mysterio. So they wouldn't be able to use other superheroes to sort of garnish the story. So he'd be on his own, which is weird. Yeah, I don't really like that. They couldn't even use villains from Marvel Comics.
It's just like Disney, just like you fucking have like a million of these characters, like just let it go. Like,
but also like we love Tom Holland in the MCU.
Yeah, well, he's literally the only movie. I think the only reason why I'll go see any of these movies anymore. Like I really am pretty much I'm done with it. I actually don't even think that I'll see the next, because to be like perfectly honest, like Far From Home was good, but it wasn't. I wouldn't see it again. I don't think. Like I loved Michael Keaton in the original one, and I liked the storyline and whatever. But this one was just kind of whatever. They're just getting like more and more saccharine and just kind of cutesy and jokey and silly. And I think that coming up like and really loving the gritty take of the Dark Knight series that Christopher Nolan did, and then unfortunately watching the DC universe completely ruin it. Although Wonder Woman was very good and very dark. And then again, that trailer for that new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, I just cannot tell if it's going to be bad or good. I think bad.
I think so.
I think it's going to visually look very good, but the script seems like it's terrible, which is going to be kind of a shame to watch that legacy. They should just let it die with Heath Ledger, honestly. Which I know you still haven't seen that.
I know, we got to watch it.
Because that performance is it's unreal. Although I wondered though that if it's been memed so hard for you that like you won't really be able to view it objectively.
I don't know. Yeah, I do have that problem where things get sort of like tainted by. Man, I was having this thought the other day that or actually today, that it sucks that certain fan bases taint good things.
Yeah.
Like Rick and Morty, the Rick and Morty fan base is tainted by just a few bad fans.
A bunch of galaxy brain retards, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with like the Game Grumps. Like I've seen some like really negative people part of the Game Grumps fandom.
Weird.
Yeah, and it's not like, I don't know, something about it feels like very wrong to like. Like saying that you like Rick and Morty is like it's become gauche.
It's become like, again, it's become it's kind of the same thing with the Antifa thing. It's like your fashion movement has no fucking style, and so you're like you fashionably, you liking Rick and Morty as a fashion statement is like what made it just ick. You know what I mean? Opposed to just being this kind of weird little show that like has some kind of funny concepts, but and are like competently written and kind of interesting. But then you turn it into like this, like everyone wants to identify as Rick, and Rick's not a fucking hero. He's like a nihilist turd who doesn't care about anybody but himself. But everyone's like, oh, I'm totally like Rick. And
it's like the Fight Club thing too. It's like oh yeah, I'm the hot dude, the hot cool dude who's violent and
right. And then the whole thing is that like Tyler Durden is like just basically the narrator's personality without any like
redeemable
or any self control or anything. It's like it's just. And which
it's
doesn't.
Like, I really relate to that character so much.
Yeah, it's like no, you don't. Yeah. But and again, that's like completely missing the point of the whole story, which is like that. It's like a projection fantasy of what qualities he wishes he had, and so so much so that he kind of turns into that character. But then he finds the balance at the end, right?
Yeah.
And like even like so like by having no self control, you make terrible decisions like becoming a domestic terrorist, which is essentially what happened. But yeah, it's
that's why The Dark Knight, to bring it back to that, might be hard for me to watch because it's also in the vein of Fight Club, and it's like every like film major's like top 10 list or whatever. Right. It's like, okay, I get it. It's a good movie.
I really identify with the alienation of the Joker, and it's like in the
he had such a rough
and in the
life.
Dark Knight, like the thing that makes the Joker interesting is he never like people will ask him like the scars thing. He never gives the same story, which is the point of like he's not honest about any part of his life. That's kind of it's his bit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they never give an origin on him. It's like, so there really isn't one. You don't really know who this person is other than just this agent of chaos.
It makes him a little scarier.
It makes him terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't really know what his agenda is other than just to like fuck the world up. And, but which again isn't something that any of us should strive to do. But I think because people, again, this is all tying in nicely. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
How people cannot cultivate a personality of their own without being told by somebody else what their personality should look like.
Mm-hmm.
In this kind of ever-increasing secular society, we become these fucking mouth-breathing retards.
Yeah, unspiritual.
Yeah. But
that's interesting how it did come together. That was very nice.
yeah. But I think maybe just to kind of... So to tie this in, we figured we'd get some Mickey Mouse ASMR in here.
I mean, maybe we should... I don't know. If anybody is listening who gets ASMR, I get it. Yeah. Actually, I'm on like a weird ASMR immunity thing right now where I can't get it.
I've heard that happens. You can get kind of desensitized to it.
Yeah, it's shitty. Like I need to hold off.
I haven't used it in a long time to fall asleep, but like, yeah, I get the sensation, which is what is it like?
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
Right, and basically what it is like it's like the tingles you get from like in the back of your neck from certain, but not everyone feels the sensation. Right. Kind of like how some people can't smell their like asparagus piss, kind of thing.
Yeah. Or like the cilantro.
Yeah.
It tastes like soap.
Soap. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anybody's listening who gets ASMR, plug in some headphones and take a listen.
Shit. Well, I don't really even know what the fuck this is exactly, but it's like it just looked fucking weird, and I started the video because I had to tie it into this weird title that made me laugh that I titled this podcast.
And I hope we don't get taken down.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you
change the S to a $sign.
Hey, it's Julius again.
Oh,
again?
Today, I am going to show you my Mickey Mouse.
Why? Why, dude?
Because he owns your ass.
He owns your ass.
The only way to dominate Mickey Mouse is to put your hand up his ass.
Yeah, is he a puppet? Oh, there's no hole.
He said puppet, but it's just a toy.
He said puppet?
He did.
Right under there is...
Yeah. This kid is probably what, like 17?
Yeah. Okay, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Perry asks, did you see the Jordan Peterson voice generator? I did, and I've been using it nonstop. Let's actually, because like the website was kind of crashing a lot. Let's see if it's okay. It's good right now. Let's see here.
Yeah, listen to the Fruit Basket podcast.
I've actually figured out how, because it doesn't say his name right, and I think that's by design.
Yeah, I do have concerns over this, and I expressed them to you already. But we'll take a listen to. We'll take a listen to this first, and then I'll talk about it. We need to approximate wait time 11 minutes. Oh, less than 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Do we need to switch to the screen audio or the screen?
I will. I mean, okay. I'll come back to it in a moment. But like, yeah, I mean, I'll see. Hopefully, we'll get this one to play. But I think what's so concerning about it is how fucking real it sounds. It's so much so that so when I found out about it, the day that I found out about it, I was just sending them to people, but then putting in really personal things. Like I have a friend that wrote a short story, and I put like the name of the short story in it, and then like someone was watching my dog, and so I said thank you for that, and he's like, oh my god, are you with Jordan Peterson? And it was like it literally is so convincing that it's mind-boggling, but it's troubling that it's here, right? So this is going to just radically change the landscape of our perception of what's real or not real, because this is just some guy who created a network or like an AI type algorithm to, and again, somebody like you and I who speak, there's a lot of recording, like it's like an endless amount of recordings of us speaking at this point. I mean, even over 30 hours of content. Yeah. There's enough to kind of make this of pretty much anybody that has any recorded voice content.
Maybe not for me. I'm a little conservative with my words.
Are you?
But my concern with this, it's the same. It's like, it's here. Mm-hmm. AI is here to further entrench us into fake news and things that aren't quite real but sound real and appear real. But also that specifically that it's Jordan Peterson.
Right.
And it's indicative of like his following. His following has like a handful of very smart people who can make AI like this. Mm-hmm. They can make it say whatever they want.
Yep.
And when you get somebody like Jared Taylor, who is like a very convincing speaker and sounds eloquent and intelligent, it's that kind of person who can use their words to convince somebody, convince gullible people.
You mean my hero, my spiritual mentor, Jared Taylor?
Jared Taylor.
Yeah. Neon Oni, Neon Oni is, he's convinced that I'm a secret Jared Taylor
You might be, actually.
follower.
I'm not even sure myself.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? He's just so convincing.'s so flattering. White people.
Yeah, it's like a little, it's just concerning in some ways. And like, people can, the person who made this, I'm not trying to
impose
bad
like
intentions.
Devious motives upon them.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, somebody can make this with an already influential person's voice,
Right.
like Jared Taylor, and make it say even more grotesque and inhuman.
Well, I mean,
things.
that's the funniest thing is like, so everybody I was sending it to, I would like at the end of it, I would be like, and please help me preserve the white race, and like that was kind of the way I was ending, cause just to get them to be like, wait, what? Like to have a little thing at the end of it. But again, it's so utterly convincing that, oh man, it's really bogged down.
I guess we typed in a lot there.
And I mean, it didn't take this long before, but it's worth waiting the time to show you guys how convincing it actually is. I guess I can get like between when we're waiting for this to happen, and we'll get back to it. I wanted to say that I think starting next week on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm going to alone do just a sub 15-minute show on like whatever stupid current event thing is trending. It's going to be kind of an experiment to see if we can get the channel to grow, and then this will obviously be the main bit of content that we have. And so like it'll be a kind of an experiment to see like if we, because we had a few different new subscribers who said we found you through like a shorter form content thing that we had, and I mean it's kind of obvious when you look at the analytics of like even our gun thing, it was just too long. Like people can't, they don't have the time to sit through that. But I don't really want to compromise the integrity of these long form discussions by like trying to cut things short. I don't really want to have restrictions on how long we talk about things. So I want to like kind of reserve that for that. And then Sean will eventually live closer, so you can maybe start doing them with me. But in the meantime, like the equipment's already set up here for me to just do it. And then I probably won't be very good at it in the beginning, but I'm going to try.
I'll be your executive producer.
Yes, thank you. And we're just going to do an experiment to see whether or not we can get it to gain subscribers that will end up consuming this show, which is like our main thing that we want to promote more so than anything else. But that's kind of the 6 minutes.
Wow, that's a long time for a voice generator. I guess it just has to search his archives of.
I think it started to. Well, I think what it did is because it didn't take this long before. Even when I would type out things that are longer than I just typed out. But I think what it's doing is it's like purposefully kind of throttling the traffic so it doesn't crash the site like it did before. Because like on the day that people found out about it, I had to refresh it like 3 times to actually get it to work. And fortunately, I was doing it like when I had a free moment to just. But I was like so obsessed with it because it was so accurate that I couldn't stop fucking around with it and sending it to all these people to kind of freak them out.
Right.
Because unless you're kind of in the know, you don't know that this exists. And all Jordan Peterson said about it was not good.
He said not good?
Not good.
Oh, I'm actually kind of relieved he said that.
Yeah, no, I think that this probably freaks him out.
Yeah.
It would be scary for anybody, I think, of just like, oh, well, like, and you'll see that when it plays, like, how accurate, like, you'll hear little hiccups sometimes, but, like, it just depends on the phrase. Like, for instance, if you type out Peterson, like, the way that it's spelled, it's like, this is Jordan Peterson. Like, it says it weird. But if you type it out Peederson, he says Peterson, like he normally would. And I also, for some reason, I typed wizard, and he said wizard. And it's like, I don't know why it does certain, there's like little things sometimes where it has hiccups, but I would say about 40% of the time it came out flawless.
Yeah.
And it's frightening, but I don't know. I mean, I think that already, like, between just all these kind of glitches in the matrix and things that aren't supposed to happen, and this is just another part of the process of basically undoing the credibility of any media that doesn't want to have long form discussions like this about things that have nuance, like taking any hard stance on anything. And we don't even need the fake news thing or like a voice generator to create fake news. I mean, look at the Covington thing, which was such an example of knee-jerk media reaction. or like them just using things that are convenient to them, like the two shooters of entirely different ideologies. CNN talked about the El Paso one, and Fox talked about the Dayton one. So I think that more and more people are just going to start gravitating towards long form content like this.
Yeah. I mean, we said in our last podcast, fake news has eclipsed real news.
Yeah.
And this is just another indication of that.
Yeah.
This Jordan Peterson voice.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hope somebody makes it of my voice. So that I don't have to show up for our podcasts.
Yeah,
I can just lay down, scroll through Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I love our podcast. I love being here.
Yeah, and he says, just use the Kermit the Frog voice generator. It's much easier and sounds just as authentic.
It's not that easy.
Being green. I think that one of my favorite descriptions of his voice was from Cumtown, where they said his voice sounds like a deflating quinceañera balloon. I think that was one of the most visceral, my favorite ones that I've heard takes on what his voice sounds like. But yeah, it's not terribly pleasant.
Yeah. Is it done? Is it 3 minutes? Dude.
We're almost there.
That's a lot of time.
We've come
to
this far, and it's a great way to end the show. I think.
End the show, yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a this 2020 is gonna be bananas. It's gonna be so fucking bizarre.
This voice generator is why we need Andrew Yang as president to give us the freedom dividend, because we won't even have to do this podcast anymore.
No, we can just
somebody else will do it for us.
Yeah, we can take something that makes us no money and just get free money.
This is what
from Little Saint Yang.
It's what he warned us about. And we're not listening.
We're not. Well, yeah, no, they should be listening.
When are the next debates?
It's September or something. I don't know. It's a Wednesday again, though, I think.
What should happen on my birthday? Tuesday the 10th.
We'll look at it while we're waiting.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Because my birthday's on September 10th. If anybody wants to send me a gift or something. Let's see. Okay. Here's who's qualified so far. As of what day?
It's September 12th and 13th.
Oh, that's fine. That's perfect.
That's the day after your birthday.
So Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, she made it. Kirsten Gillibrand didn't make it yet. Let's see. Julian Castro? Really?
Yeah.
It's weird that all these people are making it, and yet I see zero supporters of them.
I know.
As well as Biden, too. Nobody on Twitter is pro-Biden.
God, he had this strange... Let me show you this thing. Shuon had posted it.
I think Fox News is talking about it, too. Is it the clip of him, like, seeming like he's having, like, a stroke? Right?
Dude, it's bad. It's really bad. I all of his gaffes and whatever, like, I wouldn't even really make a big deal out of it, but, I mean, this is just so fucking absurd.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta pull it up on the thing.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, I don't even know what he was going for here, which is what makes it so weird.
It's only 20 seconds. Yeah. It's pretty nice.
Oops.
When I got out of school, that when Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King had been assassinated in the 70s, late 70s, when I got engaged, up to that time, remember, none of you women will know this, but a couple men may remember. That was a time in the late 60s, the early 60s and 60s where it was when I got out of school.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's just...
None of you women will remember. Remember what?
Right. I don't have any idea what he was trying to get at there.
Equal rights? Is that what it is?
Gay rights.
Maybe serving in the war is what he was talking about.
I can't even suss out what he was going for at all.
I have a feeling that's it, because women weren't really serving on the front lines in the 60s.
Yeah, I guess that, but again, it's like for him to even make it, like, start a statement that would have the phrase
"women."
Some of you wouldn't get this, ladies.
It's just exclusive language.
Yeah, which is just so not what his party should, or like at least what they're attempting not to be, even though you just can't you can't speak in any particular way unless you're
just don't speak.
Don't speak.
I know just what you're thinking. Actually, just have a voice generator do all your speaking.
I mean, I feel like it would do a better job than Biden's currently doing.
Dude, no. It's weird that he's leading the polls.
I get
it.
Michael Tracy made a good point where he's just like, have you met one person that's enthusiastic about Biden?
Yeah.
I have not met one person.
No.
I've heard people say, like, well, he's the most electable, so, but that's the only, like, even tacit bit of, like, or tepid rather, support I've even heard from anybody about him. It's always like with the caveat of, like, we don't really believe that this is going to.
Yeah.
No, there's no one. There's lots of people that are into Tulsi, and
I think Michael Tracy also said, like, let's not focus on how the polls are wrong or misleading, because they could be total bullshit. Let's focus on what if they're not bullshit. Who is voting for Biden and why? And like, is it because of the Obama aroma that he has around him, or is it because they actually like him?
I mean, the question is Obama even going to endorse him?
I don't know. I thought they met on a stage somewhere recently. I thought I saw that.
I have not heard that. I don't know though. You might have gotten something that I might have missed though.
I saw a clip in passing on some news network, but damn, dude,
I know. I'm just gonna.
it's taken a while.
I know. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth
I
it.
hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so, Jordan.
But yeah, no, I've not met like but also too like a lot of these people that are like how the fuck Klobuchar even less like who the fuck is into Amy Klobuchar?
I don't know. I've never met a single supporter of hers. But to be fair, I've never met a single supporter in person of Tulsi Gabbard. It's all internet.
Oh, I've met lots of people in person.
Okay.
Even my dad was saying that like he goes, you know who I said this to you before, but like he's like, you know who's really getting me excited? That congresswoman from Hawaii. And I look at my mom and I'm like, I've been telling you guys this for like the last 3 years. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, this will be a great way to end it. Let's see how this comes out. This is Jordan Peterson.
This is Jordan Peterson. Please be sure to listen to the Fruit Basket. They're two enormous fagots who make great content.
Isn't that
This
guy?
is
That,
Jordan
Where I laughed
Peterson.
through it.
Please be sure to listen to the Fruit Basket. They're two enormous fagots who make great content.
so you can
Wow.
hear kind of like how it'll sort of blip, but I mean that should alarm
Fagots.
pretty much anybody.
Yeah, it's a little concerning, but he's endorsing our podcast.
Yeah, I mean we have the Jordan Peterson stamp of approval. We're here for all men, men's rights activists.
Nope. I am not letting you put that stink on our podcast. I am not part of the MRA, dude.
You're not.
No.
You're missing out.
I think it's such a joke. It's like, find something better to do with your lives than be a part of r/MRA.
yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening, but I think that's a good way to close it out. But yeah, expect next week I'm going to start doing 3 short videos a week, and then we'll see if it can grow the audience.
Okay.
Because I don't really want to cut this up into smaller things. I like doing this the way that we do it, and I think that we do an entertaining show live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like control it in that way by like having to do things shorter. But if we do have segments that I feel like can be cut up, I'll still cut them up.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to design the show around doing that. But
Totally.
anyway, we love you all.
Yeah,
and
thanks for hanging out, you guys.
I'll see you on Monday, I guess, and then we'll see you
yeah.
again on Wednesday.
Bye.
Goodbye.
The Fruit Basket.